So I've already made a few videos about my little studio here and what lights I use, what cameras I use, but a few of you, a lot of you have asked me how exactly do I get this shot, this cinematic look that you see here. Some of you want to know what brand of camera I use or what brand of lighting, but all of that is not important. You can do this with any camera. Well, almost any camera, because a GoPro, for example, won't work because you can't blur out the background. But you can do this with a lot of cameras, doesn't matter what brand or how expensive. And some of you even asked me what the distance is to that wall behind me and things like that. At first I was like, wow, why do you guys want to know all that? But then I realized if you're new to cameras and lighting, then that's important information. So I guess it's time that I show you, step by step, all the details, all the information that was available in different videos, now in this one video. And then you can try out this cinematic look yourself, or just take a few ideas and create your own look. Let's do it! Okay guys, but before we go on, I want to talk about the sponsor for this video. Oh, right, it's me. No one's crazy enough to pay me to make these videos, so if you're new here, maybe consider subscribing. I love every single one of you, but only if you're subscribed. If not, then I kinda hate you, so you decide. Okay, anyway, there are two things important if you want this cinematic look, cinematic kind of shot. That's lighting and camera settings. There's also color grading, but in this case, color grading is not that important. So I'll turn off all the lights and I'll turn on the light from the attic and I'll break it down for you, how to get this look. We'll start from scratch. Oh, and I'm not gonna go into the details of all the gear that I use. I'll just list it in the description and you can find it there, because otherwise this video would be way too long. Okay, let's do it. There. That looks horrible, but don't worry, we're gonna fix it. First of all, that light up there, it looks terrible. It's yellow, it's up there behind me, and it just doesn't look good. So first thing I want to do is light myself, and I'm gonna turn on my Godox SL60W. That's my key light. Boom! Looks a lot better, but still not where we wanna be. Next, I want to blur out that background because I want to create some separation between me and the background so that I stand out a little bit more. And that's super easy, just lower the f number, the aperture. Right now the lens is at f10 and I'm gonna lower it all the way to 2.8. It can go to 1.8, but that's too much for me because then you won't recognize anything in the background. So let's set it to 2.8. Okay, but now we have another problem it seems. It's overexposed, and that's because before, when all the lights were off, I had to bump up my ISO to 12,800, so let's lower that. That will also get rid of that noisy image that we have now. There we go, that's starting to look nice and moody, right? Now, usually for cheaper cameras, the lower the ISO, the better, but there are also cameras that have a base ISO for video of 400 or even 800, so just check your camera's manual to know what gives you the least amount of noise for video. You can also just try out different ISO settings and then check the noise levels yourself on screen. And the white balance, by the way, is set to 5600, the same as my key light. Okay, so what do we have here? We have my key light and it's pretty close to my face. It's right here. Wait, you can't see it, right? No, it's right outside the frame, right here. And it's at an angle of 45 degrees, I guess. That way, this side of my face is lit and here's more shadow. That creates a more dramatic effect and I kind of like it. If I would put the light more in front of me, then my face would be more evenly lit, and that's just a different look. The most important thing for your key light is to have some kind of diffusion, to get soft light. I have a softbox, but on Amazon you can buy all kinds of diffusion things for your lights. It just depends on what type of light you're using. I would even like to have this one a little bit softer, but it's fine. And because a lot of you want to know the exact distances, I'll just give them to you right now. I'm shooting this with a 35mm on a full frame camera and the distance between my face and the camera is 4 feet. And if you have an APS-C camera, then you have to lower the aperture number even more to get the same amount of blur in the background. It depends on your lens and the sensor size. And the distances also. And I mean, not everyone likes a blurred out background, so it's up to you how much blur you want. the distance to the wall behind me is 7 feet. And the distance between my face and the key light is 2 feet. Okay, so what do we have now? My camera is set at an ISO value that gives me a low amount of noise that depends on your camera, and also a low aperture number, 2.8, to blur out the background. And then the key light with the softbox right here, and the power of that key light just depends on the ISO and your aperture number. Oh right, and frame rate. Just set your camera at 24 frames per second and a shutter speed of 1/50th of a second, and you're good. Don't change that ever unless you want slow motion. That's my opinion. Okay, next we have to work on the background because, well, you can't really see it right now, but it's a white wall, and a white wall, I'm not sure. I don't really like a white wall unless there's natural light, which I don't have here, or if you have a really professional lighting setup. Another option is to just paint that wall, and a dark bluishy gray color always works well. But I'm too lazy for that, so I just use RGB lights for now, to give that wall some color. I like it blue, as you've probably noticed on my channel, but I mean, you can pick basically any color you want. I just like blue, so I'll turn those on now. Okay, so I have one RGB light behind me and it's lighting this part of the wall here, and then another one over there to light that part of the wall. And you don't have to use 2 RGB lights. I use 2 because then I can create this nice gradient thing in the background. I don't know, I just think it looks nice. From dark blue to a little bit more light blue. So an RGB light is a must-have for every filmmaker because you can use them for so many different things. I have different sizes, different brands. My favorite one at the moment is my Pixel. Just check it in the description. It's a cheap one. It's starting to look really nice now in the background, but it's still a little bit boring. There's not much going on. What we need is some practical lights, and the only thing a practical light does is to add some atmosphere in the background, make it a little bit more interesting. I'll turn them on. I have this little tabletop lamp here, and on the other side is a light box from IKEA. You can use whatever you want. Some small Christmas lights also looks really good. A neon sign maybe? We're almost there, guys. Almost. There's just one more thing that we need, and that's a hair light or rim light, whatever you want to call it. It's a small light coming from the back here to light this side of my face a little bit. It creates a little bit more depth and maybe sometimes even a 3D effect. Just a little bit more separation even between me and the background. And it doesn't have to be a big light. Something really small is fine. I'll turn it on. How bright you want it, that just depends on what you like. For me, this looks good. And I guess that's it for lights and camera settings. All you need to know to get this exact shot. Okay, but what about color grading? Well, color grading for this is not that important. You can do all of this using one of the standard picture profiles of your camera. Light and settings of your camera, the aperture and ISO are a lot more important. Color grading is just an extra flavor that you can add to create your own style. If you want to do that, then you should set your camera to a flat picture profile, C-Log or S-Log. And if you don't have that, maybe try CineStyle. The disadvantage is that you can't use the footage right away. You have to color grade it or it will look really bad. So I think if you're trying out some things, just start with a standard picture profile and that's it. If you want to do color grading, watch some videos on the basics of color grading first. There are tons of videos for each editing program out there. I use DaVinci Resolve. It's super powerful and it's free. And there's absolutely no need to upgrade to the paid version. I'm still using the free version right now. Okay, and that's it I guess. I hope I covered everything. If there's something you want to know that I didn't mention in the video, just ask me in the comments. But I think I covered the most important things like light, camera settings, distances, I guess, right? Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.